So I want to recognize that this video is going to be a little bit controversial. The entire plant is poisonous. Hi everyone, this is Matt. Welcome back to Touchgrass Gardening. Today we're going to be talking about 3 plants that get a ton of hate, but that I love to use in my garden. So I want to recognize that this video is going to be a little bit controversial because people have strong opinions about the plants that I'm going to talk about. And one of those plants is Oleander, which you can see there's quite a bit of in my yard. And this was planted all before we moved into the house. And the reason that it's most controversial is because the entire plant is poisonous. So if you make a salad out of this plant with the leaves or flowers, you will get sick and you could die. So don't do that. But if you don't do that, and you also don't have small children or dogs that would eat this plant, I think it's a great plant to have in your yard. And here's why. Now, the first reason I really like oleander is because it's beautiful. So right now, nearing the end of spring, is when you just see this explosion of blooms of multicolor oleander throughout my area in Arizona Zone 9B. And you really don't see that much blooming from other types of plants like this for the weeks at a time that oleander provides. And so because it's pretty easy to plant and maintain, you see it everywhere and you see those blooms everywhere. And that gets me to my second point, which is that it's easy and it's hardy. So once it's established, like pretty much all the oleanders in my yard, I don't water it. I don't really think about it at all unless I want to prune it. And so it's just super simple. And if I have a bunch of other tropicals and sensitive plants in my yard, I want to focus my time on those where I'm using oleander as a hedge for shade and other useful purposes. And the beauty of it, that I don't have to think about. And that's part of why I really like oleander. And that gets into the third reason, which is it's shapeable. So this established oleander in my yard is about 20-25 feet tall, so it's mature. It's at its height of how tall it's going to grow. And it's on the west side of my property and the east side of my property. So on the west side where we are right now, this is my tropical zone. And so you have a huge hedge of oleander here. And when we moved in, I thought, what could I put next to that, which will protect from the afternoon sun, but still provide morning sun? And because the oleander is on the west side, I planted a row of avocados. So you can see how the oleander kind of overhangs. It kind of grows up like this and then spreads out. And so as it overhangs, I just keep cutting as the avocados grow, and you're still getting that sun protection. And eventually it'll grow up to the point that it's taller than the oleander. And that's the point at which it doesn't need any more sun protection. So the second plant that people love to hate, but I like, is Nandina. And I have a lot of varieties of Nandina in my yard, but the one that people hate the most is Nandina domestica. That's the most common original variety that all the variations came from. And I have 5 of them planted here that's going to be used as a hedge because they get about 8 feet tall and they're evergreen. And the reason people hate them is because their berries are poisonous. They're known to spread, particularly in areas that get a lot of rain, because they can spread through both their berries and through their roots. And then the third reason people don't like them is that they're pretty hard to get rid of once they're established. So you hack it off, change your mind, you don't like it anymore, it's probably going to grow back. So if you plant Nandina, you really have to think about, I want this here for a long time. And so those are the reasons that people really don't like Nandina. But now let's talk about why I like it. My name is Matt, and I'm obsessed with Nandina. And here's why. I have 8 varieties in my yard, and I think this plant is super beautiful because it has a bamboo aesthetic, but it has a great deal of flexibility in how you can use it. So it can grow in either sun or shade. It's kind of thought of as the Swiss Army knife of gardening. And you can plant it right next to mature trees and it still does well, which is pretty rare for a lot of landscaping shrubs, which just get eaten alive by the roots of mature trees like the ash and oak that I have along my back fence here. So I've tried a variety of different things, and Nandina is one that seems to be working longer than any other so far. The third plant that a lot of people hate or has a bad reputation is bamboo. But I really love bamboo, and the main misconception is the idea of running bamboo versus clumping bamboo. And running bamboo is the type that just goes wild in people's yards. You see fields of bamboo and people have no idea how to remove it from their yard. Whereas what I have in my yard is called clumping bamboo. And that just grows in a 1 meter clump. Like you can see with this sea breeze back here, it's just growing in a circular clump, and it won't spread beyond that. It doesn't spread by its roots to other places in your yard. It just simply stays where it's at. And the reason that I also love bamboo is that it's a hedge. It's a great privacy hedge that grows 20 feet tall within 2 to 3 years. There's maybe no other plant that you can put in your yard that can become a privacy hedge that fast, unless you're, say, getting a really tall ficus that you're getting from Moon Valley Nursery, and you want it installed right away, and you're willing to pay $10,000 per plant. But these type of bamboos is 40 bucks at a local nursery, and within 2 years, it can look like this. So it's really a wonderful thing to put in your yard, and there's hundreds of varieties of clumping bamboo. And so you really want to think about what you like aesthetically, and then just pick it. And the other thing you might want to think about is, where's your zone? If you're in zone 9B like me, at least look for ones that are zone 9B or below able to survive the winter. Because for me, I see leaves drop on some of my bamboos that are zone 9 and above. And the couple that I have that are zone 8, they're just lush throughout the whole year. So I would really go down a zone if you're thinking about a privacy hedge, so that it stays evergreen throughout the whole winter wherever you're located. The other reason that people complain about bamboo, particularly once they know the difference between running and clumping, is that it's kind of messy. And that's true. So it does lose a lot of its leaves throughout the year. You can see I have it all throughout, and you have to trim some of it when it gets a little bit too dense. So it does need a little bit of maintenance, and it is a little bit messy. So I personally would not put bamboo right next to a pool. But for me, I have it on the borders of my yard, and I've converted this rock area to mulch. So when the bamboo leaves fall or I need to trim, I just throw it in the ground and let it become mulch, which I think is the ideal way to think about and use this clumping bamboo. I have 6 varieties of clumping bamboo in my yard. Right next to me is this Chinese dwarf bamboo. And this is a great one because it provides a ton of privacy. It's a great hedge. And the thing I wanted to note about bamboo is you can trim it. You don't just have to let the culms go forever. So if you're planted next to a tree that you want to be taller than the bamboo grows really fast, but I generally trim this at 10, 15 feet, and then the leaves will spread out from where you trim the culm at. And that's another reason that bamboo is great, is it's very flexible, and you can use it in a variety of ways. And it's the type of plant that when you trim it, you cut it, it doesn't care. It's super hardy, and it just grows back. So think about how you want to use this in your yard. And if you want it for privacy or aesthetic usage, you can think about and look online what different varieties look like and pick what's right for your yard. So this has been my controversial take on 3 plants that people hate, but I love and find useful: Oleander, Nandina, and bamboo. Let me know what you think. If this is something you totally disagree with, you had a bad experience with one of these plants, let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, like it, subscribe, and let me know as well. I really appreciate you being on my channel, and I'll see you again next time.